Hi, it's Merryl from my mystery school, and I thought it was time we check in with Meghan and Harry. But this time, I'm going to use Astro Dice. These tell the story through astrology, so they look at the planets, the houses, and the signs, and when you roll them together, you get a picture. So for Harry and Meghan, I want to ask 3 separate questions. 1, what brings them happiness? 2, what's their next biggest challenge? And finally, how they're going to manage that. And I'll do those readings separately, one for Harry, one for Megs. And then we'll put it all together and see how they work as a team. We'll start with Harry first, and we'll ask that question, what brings Harry happiness? Oh, that's the first one, and it's the South Node. Cancer and the 8th house. So it's pretty big. What brings him happiness? The South Node is a place that represents the past, and that means it's what's familiar to you. It's in Cancer, or so he wants to express that through Cancer, which is through the mother, through the legacy of his mother. And in the 8th house, that's the house of birth, life and death. It's a big one. So there's something in his destiny. He feels this is what brings him happiness. To live out something his mother had to leave behind, because the 8th house means there was a death. And his mother's death has forged this destiny. So I wasn't expecting this one for Harry to go so big, but this is saying his true happiness isn't about material. He's prepared to end things to bring out the nurturing, protective quality that was given to him through his mother. The South Node is a hard place because it gets you stuck there. This is the place that needs clearing and purging. So for this, Harry's happiness comes in purging out issues around his mother. It may also be, with the South Node and Cancer, like a compulsion to protect the feminine. And the South Node has a sacrifice that comes with that. The sacrifice with the 8th house is the ending of a line. Let's see what brings Meghan happiness. Looking to see what brings Meghan happiness. What do the dice say? Moon, 12th house, also Cancer. Well, one thing is, we've got a match here. The moon in Cancer, that's the ruler of Cancer, so the moon's in its home. And with that, it comes across as very nurturing, very protective, family-orientated and home-orientated. But it's in the 12th house, which makes things a little bit more weird. And I can't help feeling a bit more manipulative, that the emotions are used to cling. The 12th house is the mysterious house of secrets. And it's a place where the moon can really operate in the shadows. Moon in the 12th doesn't like to show its emotions. It's wearing a mask all the time. So if I just said it real simple, what brings Meghan happiness is being able to wear a mask and put out a kind of veil of nurturing and mothering, to look like the good girl. Now I'm going to ask, what's the biggest challenge? So what's the next biggest challenge coming up for Harry? Next biggest challenge coming up for Harry. Again, the 8th house, Mars and Scorpio. Well, that's a trifecta, because Scorpio is the ruler of the 8th house, and Mars is the traditional ruler of Scorpio. So his next challenge is kind of explosive. The undercurrent of Scorpio in the 8th house is very powerful, but it's powerful in that threshold kind of way, because it's almost like where the Scorpio could sting itself to death. It goes in deep. And with Mars there, I have to say that's a lot of power and aggression. So his next challenge is going to be met with a fierce fight to the death in a, not in a literal sense, but in a, well, maybe there is a literal death coming up. But for him, it's to be able to reach into that psychological depth of Scorpio and find the strength. And with Mars, there's a lot of energy and repressed rage, really, to be honest, to fight for something. And in a way, maybe it's fight for the truth. We know his happiness story was talking about purging and healing the energy of the effect of his mother's death. I can't remember how old he is, but maybe he's having a transit that's really pushing him to address that. Let's see what the next challenge Meghan is facing. She's got Sag, 10th and Pluto. If I put it simple, Pluto is that god of death, Sag is the one that wants to travel, and 10th house is the public face, the public image, wanting convention to recognise you in some way. Her next challenge is the way the public sees her. And with Sag, it's like with broadcast, through social media, publications, that sort of thing, or through her aspirations. And with Pluto, there's an ending or a death, a transformation in the world of her public face. So this might be her challenge around the podcast they were supposed to be making, and her challenge might be about repairing the PR damage on that. Honestly, the first thing I thought of when I saw it was, will she travel if the Queen dies? And that she's worrying about what sort of reception she'll have at public face back in the UK. So both Meghan and Harry have got this theme of endings with the 8th house and Pluto. Now I'll ask about Harry. How is Harry going to manage his biggest challenge and whatever he wants for happiness? Mars again. What is that? That's Capricorn and the 3rd house. How is he going to manage that kind of do or die energy he had in the last throw? Mars in the 3rd, that's like aggressive communication, focused, conflict, ready to go into action. And with Capricorn, it's official. He's going to approach it with aggressive and official communication. The 3rd house isn't really law courts, but it could be something like defamation. It's a challenge to the authority and the way words and names in communication is used. It also might have something to do with the podcast that they got paid a ton of money for, but to date haven't delivered any episodes. This little combo, it doesn't really feel a mature combo. And so I don't know that this is going to be enough for the previous role with Harry, which was Scorpio in the 8th house with Mars. I don't know if Harry's got a Saturn transit going on at the moment or what he's got in Capricorn, but I don't think this lot really helps his cause. Now, how will Meghan handle her biggest challenge? And we've got 4th house, Cancer again, and Uranus. Well, how will she handle her challenge? Which may have been around social media or her public face, some part of her career or her public role coming to an end. One thing we've got to match. Cancer is at home in the 4th house, but when Uranus is there, it's like throwing a brick through the window. So there's some big upset at home. There's a big upset. She wants this 12th house thing of mothering and nurturing with the moon. She wants to have this mask to hide her true emotions, but her true emotions are coming out at home. Other ways that Uranus can impact on Cancer and the 4th house is an unexpected pregnancy or a breakup in the home. Uranus is a monster in that place. So that's where her frustrations are all coming out, basically. Now I'm going to throw the dice and see Meghan and Harry together. What can the dice tell us? Third house Pisces, Mars. Well, together, they're more vulnerable than they appear. And it's an odd mismatch because Mars doesn't really like to be in Pisces. It just gets steamy and sensitive and teary, and needing sympathy, hypochondriac. And in the third house, which is the house of communication and siblings, look, I could be reading this with bias, but I feel that it looks like wanting sympathy from their siblings. If you want to fight for justice, Mars and Pisces are good together. And if you want to protect the vulnerable, Mars and Pisces are great. But it means with the third house, finding practical solutions, talking it through with an inquisitive nature and curiosity rather than being bombastic. Mars in the third house really wants it to get its point across. And what's its point? Its point is Pisces. I'm the victim here. Mars in Pisces can be really good in charities, but it's the way it's communicated, it's the way it's spoken about, and the way it's about the mentality and intelligence behind it. And for Meghan and Harry together, this combo looks a bit try-hard, a bit determined to get their message across in a sympathetic way. So there you go for Astro Dice, a way to do a reading just by firing questions at it. If you like my videos, support my channel with a like, follow, share and subscribe. I'm Merryl Key and this is my mystery school. Contact me through my website www.merrylkey.com. Blessed be.